Welcome, everyone. Today, we are here to show you how to turn every inspection into extra revenue without adding that extra work. And so the goal today, it's pretty simple. We're going to help you add value, build that trust, and grow your revenue. And so we're not here to like reinvent the wheel. A lot of the things we're going to be talking about have been in play. We're going to just show you how it works, show you why you should trust it, trust us, how it pays off. And we have some amazing guests with us today, people that are probably very familiar to you. Before we get started, I'll jump in. I'm Eric Orthy. I'm the head of partnerships here at Spectora. Kevin, I'll toss it to you.
What's up, guys? Kevin Wagstaff, co-founder of Spectora. Eric has done a ton of great work behind the scenes here. He doesn't get enough credit for standing all this up, but I'm congratulating everyone that's here because you're showing an openness to adding more value and building your business in a different way.
We got one, the only Mark. How's it going, Mark? Thanks for joining us today.
My absolute pleasure to be with you guys today. I am, I guess for those who don't know me, my name's Mark, CEO and lead business coach for Inspector Empire Builder, which is a company that does business education and training for home inspection business owners. Spend all my time talking to people who need the information that we're going to be sharing today.
Perfect. Thanks, gentlemen. Well, let's jump right in. Mark, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we find to be, me personally too, not just we as in our coaching team, but find to be incredibly important anytime we're having a conversation about adding revenue or adding services to our business is that we understand why in the world we're doing it in the first place. And so for a lot of the home inspectors that we talk to, especially when they come to look at something like coaching, whether it's with us or anybody else, is a lot of times they're coming at it from some pain point, right? Maybe they've been stuck in the mud for a while, they're spinning their wheels, they're up against some sort of trial and error. They kind of have a vision of what they want in their mind, but they just can't quite seem to get there. And so we always think that it's really critical for people to start off in their business with what they actually want to do with their life, their why, as it's commonly put in a lot of coaching circles. And so the question that's on the slide is, what's your why? And I love that it's got a lot of images. It's something that represents business, represents money, vacations, family. The truth is that all of us want a business that can provide those things. And a lot of us will sort of pour ourselves into the business, believing that the business will provide those things. But at the end of the day, what we find is that a lot of people put so much into the business, they neglect all of those other things. And so for home inspectors who want to add ancillaries or partnerships or other revenue streams, different things like that, it's important to have that goal tied to something bigger than the goal. So for example, let's tease this out a little bit. If I wanted to listen to this webinar today and think about how to add cash to my revenue stream, it's got to be tied to something bigger than just adding cash, right? Or adding revenue. And so the question would be why? What's your why? And I think that's a good starting point, Eric, for people to just kind of park there, think for a moment, like, have I really thought about why I'm doing what I'm doing? Or is that a new concept to me? Have I properly thought through it? I'll give you guys the end right at the start. If we have properly thought through our why, we'll always be able to say, I'm doing this so that I can accomplish my life vision. And if you can't tie your cash goals, revenue goals, or anything else to your why in that regard, you've got some work to do, my friend.
A great point, Mark, which brings us right to achieving your goals. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think goals, I'm going to just attack the word first. So goals, I think, has been so played out at this point as a word. Even as a business performance coach, I know as soon as I say, let's work on your goals, everybody gets a bit of a picture in their mind of what that looks like. And for most people, that looks like a to-do list. It really does, right? And it might be a to-do list with things that are a little bit further out than today, but it's boxes to check. And the truth is that's just not the right frame for the word goals. And so when we say achieve your goals, I want to make sure people aren't thinking, let's just check boxes or let's just make sure that we are setting ourselves up to say that we earned, I don't know, $500,000. Who cares? Right? The truth is if you earned $500,000 and it cost you $500,000 to earn it, like you didn't earn anything really. And so having goals that make sense is really another area where I'd say, let's make sure that's tied to something bigger. And then we've got something to sink our teeth into. So now we can go back to the word goal, if that's okay. So, maximizing profit, building trust, future proofing your business, diversifying your offering, all incredibly important pieces of the conversation. I'm going to take this a little bit of a maybe a strange direction. And this is top of mind because I just hopped off of a class we were teaching this morning and I was just talking about this. So I want to throw this out there for everybody who's listening. Maximizing your profit in your business is really all about having great systems, processes, things in writing that you can follow and then refine over time. And even the act of just having those things doesn't mean that you're going to be a maximally profitable company. The truth is that profit, and this is where I say it's going to go a weird direction for a minute. Forgive me, guys. Profit starts in your home. Profit starts with having amazing routines and amazing discipline as a person before it starts to show up in your business. And I see this all the time. People will be trying to build a business that has awesome systems, processes, profit, revenue, all those things that we want without having ever stopped and said, well, hey, how am I showing up as a person first? Here's a great example, especially for our solo guys out there, guys and gals, and our small teams. Great financial responsibility of your company starts with great personal financial responsibility. So let me tell you what I mean by that. If you want a really profitable company, you have to make sure that your company doesn't have to cover your lifestyle in a way that doesn't make sense, right? Talking to the solos out there specifically, if you're out there after a few good months buying boats and houses and all kinds of expensive things rather than, investing back into your company and stuff like that or saving money, you can oftentimes get yourself in trouble. And then in your profitable seasons, you're not setting yourself up for your seasonality later in your business. Right. So that's step one to maximizing profit in your business is to make sure you have your personal financials squared away and that you're growing in that sense. The second step for that, which again isn't even about making money yet, is about probably in the future proofing part of your business, is about having a good 3 to 6 months of operating reserve set aside for your business so that you're not always operating on a shoestring and freaking out if the phone's not ringing or don't know how you're going to get somebody from training to bringing in revenue and that gap that exists there or whatever it is you're working on in your business, having that reserve is critical for people to have longevity in business. So, step one, personal finances. Step two, operating reserve. Then I think we can start to talk about things like maximizing profit, which in my mind is an efficiency conversation. It's not necessarily a money conversation. It's, are you spending too much time on processes that shouldn't take a lot of time? Are you spending till 10 p.m. at night writing reports instead of, having time with your family and staying recharged and full? The reason I say that is because if you're spending crazy amounts of time doing things, you're earning less per hour in your business, which means you are a less profitable company. So before we can even get to diversifying offerings, future proofing, building trust, all that stuff, like we've got some serious stuff to really get on top of for maximizing profit. Is that a fair place to pause for a second? I could probably just keep going for an hour. Tell me what you want, Eric.
No, I like that. That's great. I like that. It's the personal, it's the operating reserve, it's maximizing profit. It's kind of a good segue into the next topic. Kevin, I'll toss this one over to you now.
Yeah, and first of all, Mark, I always learn so much when you speak, and I miss seeing you in person. So for those that don't know, Mark is a gift to this industry. It ties with the diversifying offerings, and so we're talking about value added services. And to rewind, our industry didn't used to always think about radon or termite inspections, or if you're in Florida, wind mitigation inspections. And our industry has grown over the last couple decades to add more value. And so this is more of a mindset shift for some of you than anything of I don't just do the home inspection. I actually want to add more value. And it's tied to this first point, which is growing demand. So the home inspection industry is continuing to grow, a little slower since since mortgage rates have gone up to 6 to 7%. But I think it's always an industry that people think they can and should get into, which means there's always more competition. And what I always used to tell inspectors and still do is that there's new tech savvy inspectors that are coming in the industry from other walks of life, and they're really thinking about how to holistically add value to agents, to home buyers. And so just the fact that you're here listening to this says that you're open to adding more value, and I give you kudos for that, because I think it's a stretching of your mindset to say I have to adapt with the environment. I can't be static. I have to always evolve and listen to the market. So if that's you, I think you're in the right place. And I a small percentage of inspectors think this way, and so I want you guys to really lean into the competitive nature of this sport, because adding more value positions you above the next guy when they're calling your agents trying to poach them from you. Um, so that's the growing demand piece. And I think like adjusting to that means adding more value. And that's why you're here listening, is to find out how to add more value. Um, the evolving expectations piece, I think if you listen to customers at all, or if you pay attention to anything outside of our little echo chamber of the home inspection industry, you can hear that home buyers are expecting more, um, especially with the NAR changes with agents potentially not being a part of every transaction. There is a huge gap, and someone has to step up and fill it and answer questions for homeowners. And you guys, believe it or not, are best positioned for that, because you're the second person after the agent that knows that a home is probably going to be sold. And home buyers do look to you guys as a very trusted piece to that. Um, and they are expecting more. A lot of home buyers don't know who they should be going to. And so I think the openness to evolve and get out of your comfort zone and say, what else can I fill where there's demand? Because that's all we're in the business of, is helping customers and satisfying customers at the end of the day, right? Um, and so income, some of you are here because you like money. It's okay to like money. I like money. You like money. Eric likes money. We need money to live. But it goes back to the being profitable, what Mark said. So say inspection volume stays where it's at. And I know some of you are hurting out there. Some businesses are growing, and they tend to be the bigger multi-inspector businesses that are probably in IEB, if I'm being honest, that are soaking up a lot of volume. I think you have to hedge yourself as a solo or as a small multi in this kind of environment. Because if we stick around this existing home sales number of about 4 million homes being sold a year for another year, we could be in for a year of pain if you're making the same income, if you're still making $300 to $400 per inspection at a static level, and inflation goes up even more and home sales don't pick up. What are you going to do? What's your plan? That's kind of the question I pose, is like, what is your plan to hire that admin person or to hire a growth person that requires income? And oftentimes that requires adding more value, which you can charge for and you rightfully should charge for. So I just encourage everyone to think a little bigger and not treat income as a bad word, or adding value as something to be scared of. Um, because the demand is there. We're not creating a need for people with this. And so um, the big companies are doing it. Some of them have been doing it for years. You can ask Mark or myself. There's companies that have been doing this for years, and they've been able to hire people and grow and achieve their kind of their why and their dreams from this. And so to me, this is just such an exciting time for those of you that are leaning into this. Let me pause there and see if Mark or Eric has anything to add to that.
Yeah, I'll definitely add something to that. The companies that we see who have done the best over the past couple of years, especially as things have been more volatile in our industry than we've been used to. And by the way, that was a term introduced a few years ago. I remember reading the article where they said the term for the home inspection space is now volatile because it's like the stock market. We've always had seasonality, but now going forward, we're going to have sharper ups, sharper downs. Volatility is the word. And so the companies I've seen doing the best in a more volatile industry are the companies who were able to earn more for the work that they were doing and with less, operate with a wider margin, right? More profit. And so it wasn't an overnight thing for most of those companies. And the companies that did try to make it overnight oftentimes got punched in the face a little bit, as you tend to do when you try to speed things to market. But for example, adding ancillary services and adding value add services and different things like that is really a long game sort of play. It's not something that's like, let's hurry up and earn an extra 30K. It's like any other piece of your business. You've got to decide what you're going to do, get clear on the path, make sure that you're adding maybe one or two important pieces at a time until it's pushed across the finish line and producing. The companies who operate at that level are the companies who said things like, yeah, man, my market was tough. Inspections are down, transactions are minimal, but we made more revenue than we've ever made. And that's what we love to hear is, yep, the markets are down. We didn't do as many inspections, but we did way more revenue than we're used to. And that's what we're looking for, right? In fact, it'd be awesome if we could just choose to do that. Hint, you can.
Yeah, I love that. And Mark, over the years, I had a handful of inspectors say like, "Oh man, I'm so jealous. You guys run a software company. It's scalable." And I could not wait for our industry to mature to this point because it gives, maybe for the first time ever, the ability to scale revenue while doing the same amount of inspections and even get a piece of that. I'm not saying it's ever going to be like software. Nothing can be like software, but for a services industry to be able to get some form of recurring revenue and then possibly even double over the course of a year, double the amount of dollars you take home for the same amount of inspections. I don't think many other industries have that opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the recurring revenue piece is you're spot on, Kevin. It's being able to like you have that one moment to introduce yourself, your business, completing that inspection, but that becomes a lifetime relationship. It's not just that one moment of time where that person who that you're working with is going through like a very stressful moment in their life, buying the most expensive asset they'll ever buy. Like you're a thought partner that has this chance to just be part of that home ownership journey along the way. Yeah, it's the ancillary services we talked about. It's not it's radon, it's water testing, it's well inspections, it's other areas where you can come back to that home buyer, present your services, prevent the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that you have on like how I can help you manage that home. But in addition to that, there's these ancillary services that don't necessarily require you to spend a lot of time doing. And that's some of the things on this slide that Kevin, I'd love for to get your take on this.
Yeah. Let's just start with the big scary monster in the room, insurance, right? So like, I don't know anyone that like loves the concept of insurance or, we all probably hate the fact we pay for insurance and don't use it. Some of us are probably thankful for it in certain times, right? It's like the unfortunate circumstances when you need insurance. But let's not deny the fact that you have to have home insurance to own a home. I think that's like the one of the biggest takeaways here is that home buyers are often left out in the cold to say, okay, I guess I'll just Google insurance and see what pops up and then contact my local State Farm agent and kind of go from there, read reviews, ask a neighbor. And so one thing, Brandon here, you can read the quote, I won't read it to you. He said to me in person, because he came to our team retreat, he was nice enough to come and join the team and chat with everyone, is he said that we are doing the vetting that he doesn't have time or want to do in terms of the vendors and service providers that we partner with. Because hopefully you all are here because you trust our brand, you trust the people, and that we are not going to get in bed with a company just to get a few more dollars. Like it has to be a good experience and a product. And if it's not, and it happens consistently, we will part ways with said partner. And so, um, insurance is a necessity. And so that's where I said earlier, if you remember, we're not creating demand for something. This is just an existing thing that I used to be a real estate agent. We often don't know. We just tell them to Google it usually. And so there's room here to add value. And to Eric's point, I think if you add more value, you also hedge yourself against a future where agents maybe are not recommending you guys all the time and it's more word of mouth. And if the future becomes 60, 70, 80% word of mouth, you want to be on the top of mind for that home buyer to say like, wow, Mr. Home Inspector they took care of everything. They felt like my concierge. Um, and so home security, also something that a lot of people need, and then the moving piece as well. Like those are two things more people need than you probably think. Like even if you don't think you personally use these services or need them, when you're moving, a lot of these things, the security goes with people. And then cross country moves. There's so many gaps here that leave people stressed out. And so to be able to have trusted providers that you know are vetted, that basically very low effort and low risk on your part to offer up, and then the customer's happy, you get a few dollars. It truly is a win-win, and that's why we've been such believers of this from the beginning. I think the market had to kind of shift to catch up to it. But one last point on this, and it's like, what's in it for you guys? I think if say you don't care about the couple $1,000s to tens of thousands you can make a year. Say you're like, you know what, my North Star is serving my customer. Um, I think you are showing up for them in a big way when you anticipate their needs. Because like if any of us have been anywhere, whether it's In-N-Out Burger or five-star restaurant, when the waiter or the server anticipates that you might want some ketchup or relish, it's a nice little feeling, right? Imagine when you're buying a home, if someone anticipated your next three thoughts and then got in front of it, you're going to feel really good about that person. And then when you ask for a five-star review, they're probably more likely to leave it. And so this really is a whole business conversation. This isn't just income or adding value. We're talking this can change the course of your business. And I've seen it in IEB with certain companies that those owners' lives have changed as a result of kind of taking charge of these opportunities.
Yeah, Kevin, that's such a great point. We just want to jump in here and show you a couple screenshots of what a client experience would look like. And so one of the things that, as Kevin alluded to earlier around how Spectora has facilitated and created these uh, arrangements and partnerships that have that relevance, but also it's at a moment of time when it's critical for the home buyer to think about this because it's one of the next sequence of events. So let's take a second and jump into the client's shoes for a moment. And so when the homeowner receives their inspection report, they're presented with these clear, relevant options like we've talked about. There's security, there's moving, there's insurance that everybody loves or doesn't love. And so it's a simple opt-in approach, right? It's a double opt-in. You, the inspector, you opt in to allow this special offers page to be shown, and the home buyer can navigate it via the client portal. They can see these offers, and they can choose to interact with them if they want without pressure. And we're not really necessarily here to sell something. We're here to provide options and education and letting the home buyer choose which ones they want to interact with and move forward with. And so it creates this sort of mutual value for you because this is education of things that's relevant, and it gives your clients the choice to interact and potentially get some discounts on some things, right? A good discount on moving services. Who wouldn't want that when you're going to be moving fairly soon?
And guys, the team obsesses over this client experience the way we obsess over the inspector experience with the app and everything you see over the years in the interface. And we want it to be a smooth experience that's almost not in your face, but relevant if you need it, to where you're never looking like you're pushing anything on your clients, because our whole job is to make you guys shine, just like with the software. And so I love the look of it personally. It's evolved and will continue to evolve. But again, this is something that I liken it. I think of it as analogous to like when people started actions for the first time on Advanced, and it helped them upsell their add-on services, and it just happened in their sleep. And they were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Like I'm selling while I'm at the park with my kids." This is very similar because it happens in the client portal. Granted, there needs to be some mentioning up front. Maybe your actions mention it, but man, this is an engine that can work for you when you're not working.
Yeah, so let's just show you real quick what's in it for you. What are some of the numbers you can potentially earn here? And so I can just high level insurance, $12.50 per qualifying call. Secure 24, there's $150 installation revenue opportunity for you here with home warranty. For every policy sold, it's $25. And then moving, Your clients get a discount with the Spectora coupon code, but then you get 1% of the moving and storage expenses that your client purchases. So I just want to call out individually, these numbers may seem, modest, not the largest, but when you aggregate them over time and over dozens or maybe hundreds of inspections, like this turns into actual real revenue opportunity for you. And so the model here, it turns, this a small percent into like a future predictable extra income that can really add up over time. And, on this slide, we just wanted to show you like what it could look like if it added up over time. And so like imagine the scenario with these partnerships enabled, like you could potentially reduce your inspection workload if you wanted to focus on one of the things Mark was talking about earlier, more of like your personal self. You didn't want to inspect as much as you are. Well, with services like this, you could reduce your inspections by roughly 4 to 6 times a year and spend more time with your family and develop and grow that process. Or it could be the opposite. It could be uh, if you get 4 to 6 extra inspections in the form of payments from partnerships, well, that could really build up that reserve you're seeking. Or it could really just be that maximizing profit. Maybe you've checked off boxes 1 and 2 that Mark was talking about, and now you're all about hitting the gas, making as much money as possible. This could do that for you. So, it's these scenarios are sort of common numbers we've seen, roughly 3 to 5% of the time. You see home buyers opting into the experiences. And so it could be more if you say one sentence about these. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But at least here's a representation of like what this could, what this could earn for you. I mean, even looking at it this way, this could pay for your Spectora subscription and then some. I mean, who doesn't want that?
And your IEB.
Yeah.
It really is the holy grail. Like that was something I promise you guys 8, 9 years ago, I thought about when I was like, I would love for there to be a future where inspectors can offer these other services, can help the homeowner in really organic ways, and then offset their software cost or hire people to grow. That could unlock a lot of economics for this industry, and it could bring economics in the industry that previously weren't. And these are very conservative conversion numbers, guys. I want you guys to know these are pretty hands-off adoption rates as opposed to when you have a driveway speech, when you wrap up with them after the inspection. There's so many different places you can mention your suite of services. And so for people that want to lean into this I believe could really be a rocket ship in terms of growth. And if nothing else, keep you in the game this year if it is going to be a tough year. And Eric, you said the numbers do scale well, but if you feel better about buying, a $12 carton of eggs because of this, because you sold one, great. Like, okay, if it's one little step towards being more profitable, that's a great thing. Mark, do any stories jump out to you in terms of when a company or a founder became more profitable or had more time, what they did? Because I think picturing that future self is always important to me if I'm thinking of my future. But like I know there's been some stories. I just want to know which ones popped to the top of your mind of when they unlocked kind of that growth engine or had more time, what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, hundreds of stories flood my mind, but I can pick a couple. One of our favorite versions of a success story from our perspective is when somebody is able to say, I grew my team, I became a profitable company, and for the first time in the history of being an entrepreneur, I took a week off and didn't check my emails, didn't do inspections. I came back refreshed and nothing was on fire. And so these are the types of things that that really just aren't possible if you're not refining, growing, and bringing in new revenue streams and being a profitable company. And so one person in particular sticks out to me, and that was exactly their stories. They were really spinning their wheels with growth, and they were kind of positioned toward the low end of their market on average inspection fee. And they came into IEB and they started learning systems, processes, and truth be told, this is straight from them, which I won't say who it is because I haven't asked for permission, but this is straight from them. They said, I I liked the connections in the community, but I didn't want to implement the systems and processes. And so they stayed in the community for I believe it was a little more than a year, and everybody was outpacing him. and he couldn't figure out why. And finally, he decided, you know what? I'm just going to go all in with implementing systems, processes, things like that in my business. And within the next couple of years, grew to a team of 5 or 6 inspectors. And that's when he was finally able to step out of the field and collect a salary and be the business owner and take a vacation with the family. And not saying it would take that long for everybody. That's that guy's story. It looks different for everybody. But that's what this kind of stuff leads to is incremental improvements and changes over time lead to massive ability to do things like as simple as connect with the people you love when you want to connect with them, right? And that was his story. Other people have done interesting things outside of leisure. They've had complete other businesses pop up.
Mm.
They've gained the ability to be the business owner of their inspection business and not be so bogged down because they're now a profitable company. They've put a little bit of a team together. Now they can take advantage of other opportunities that they have going on and have a little bit of time freedom to do that because of the profit they're generating. And we've seen people become multimillionaires, not because they have, 10 or 20 people on their inspector team. They might still have just a 2 or 3 person inspector team, but then they took advantage of these other opportunities as a serial entrepreneur. That's another story that we see quite a bit. In fact, it's a growing conversation in IEB is how do you live life with multiple businesses all needing your time rather than just an inspection business? And then there's of course the person who is just building a lifestyle company or maybe building a company to sell as well, right? And so companies who have great systems, processes, and margins or profitability, in other words, predictable profitability, something like this would be an example of that. You have a specific conversion rate proven over time. You have money coming at you proven over time. Those are all things that make your company more attractive to investors, to somebody who might buy it one day, whatever your end game is. These are things that they make a big, big change in how people look at your company over time.
Love that. Appreciate you sharing those. Um, yeah, I kind of just want to wrap it with kind of opening our minds up to this, knowing that it is a new muscle. If you are, whether you're already using this or you're thinking about it. But I think anytime you come into a situation where it's fairly low risk, where you can communicate the value, and there is upside, either for your time freedom or your revenue growth, um, as a business person, I'm like, oh, it's a no-brainer. There's smart people behind the scenes looking out for you, thinking about your reputation. And so those are the things we are thinking about, not, hey, how do we just throw spaghetti at the wall? Like these things have been thought about for years now. I just get excited at potential for you guys, whether you're a brand new inspector and you want to come out of the gates screaming. But I think it's a different mindset because you guys are all such hard workers. Because if you're here, you're an entrepreneur and you're a hard worker. And the mindset typically is like, I just need to talk to more agents. I just need to get more inspections, get more inspections, get more inspections. What if you could make $600 to $1,000 per inspection? Like that, it's a different mindset to say if each one is that much more profitable, not only will I have time to talk to more agents and home buyers, I scale faster and I grow faster and it feels better and you have more time. So try to wrap your heads around that mindset. Again, like I'm pumped that you guys are even here thinking about this. And for those of you watching after the fact, kudos to you too. I do think it's the beginning of kind of a lull period this year, probably, but it's like a jack in the box. I think of it that way of like get your services, your training, your processes, your structure, these add-ons ready this year, get them dialed in because when we go into another boom time, you'll get, guess what? You'll get too busy to do it. You'll get too busy to switch software. You get too busy to do anything. You need to be doing it now while you have the time.
That's good advice.
I love that. Should we jump into some questions?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So we got a question from Tommy who says that Tommy has used a similar program with Porch. And what's the main differentiation in this program? I have an opinion on that. Kevin would love your take on that.
uh,
Uh,
yeah, I'll go first. So for one,
okay.
we're not porch. So that's a big differentiator. And what do I mean by that, right? Because that might not mean anything to some of you. So many years ago, for those of you that have been around, there was rollouts of different programs by Porch and some of the companies they purchased. And many people were not fans of how they were rolled out. We learned from that. But one thing that was positive that came out of that was it showed the appetite for home buyers to engage with inspectors when it comes to other services like insurance. The appetite is there. How we present it to you and how you present it to them, we learned a ton. And we went in the lab and thought deeply about how to do it well. Another differentiator, we're not a publicly traded company that has to hit a stock price every quarter and appease our shareholders. We don't have debt. So, when you're in debt, you're in a rush to pay it back. You have pressure. You do things that are outside of your comfort zone. I could keep going for days on this, but like we are drastically different companies. And I know Eric has a thing he noticed in terms of how, even the companies identify and present themselves. I won't steal your thunder on that, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, Porch today is no longer just like a vertical software business. They're an insurance company. And so that data that is presented via Porch Technologies, it does get aggregated and distributed, and they sell that to insurance carriers, and then they use that for their own carrier underwriting. And so the data that comes with reports that Porch has access to is they use that beyond our data stays within Spectora. We don't sell and monetize our data. But also on the specific partnerships side of the house, like it's an opt-in approach. Like there's no one calling the home buyers, hounding them, saying like, "Hey, I have all these things. Can I sell you these things, XYZ?" It's the home buyer completes a form, therefore they're expressing interest and intent, and they get contacted about the thing that they're expressing interest in. So the call to action and the control sits on the home buyer side. So I feel like that's a major differentiation here.
And they've since changed, I think, to an opt-in and sharing a little of the economics after we did that. And so I think we were kind of a trailblazer in that sense to say like, hey, look, first and foremost, we're a software company that helps you guys look good and create great reports. This is a value add. It's not everything. We don't need everyone to do it, but we want to keep finding ways to empower you guys. And so it's just a different approach at the end of the day, a very different approach we're coming at it with.
Yeah. One more Porch related question while we're on the Porch topic. And so Patrick asks, will our clients' data always be protected? No hidden opt-out or tricky wording, kind of like Porch? 100%. We're not here to scam you. We're not here to scam clients. We're not here to trick you, and we're not here to trick clients. It's the slide I showed previously. It's pretty clear, what the home buyer is being shown and what they, have the access to do with that. We want to be as transparent as possible. I think it's in no one's best interest to be spammy or tricking or convince people to do things that they don't really know or understand what they're actually doing. So no intent behind that.
And guys, we are a healthy, thriving company, have been profitable since month 2 of our existence. And we've seen a lot of shady BS in this industry. And Mike and I have never been wired that way. Our current leadership, not wired that way. It's just bad business and it feels slimy. And we have a team of great people that don't like feeling slimy.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I wanted to add, if you have questions, post them in the Q&A. We're going through those right now. And I have a question from Eric. He says, what if you have an insurance company relationship already? Good point. At the moment, we have a partnership with a large broker that has access to 40 plus carriers. Eric, I would love to hear what you're thinking with that exactly. So if you want to send me an email, it's Eric, ERIC @spectora.com. Would love to have a discussion with you, and we can, address that. And potentially there could be something there that makes a lot of sense for you, especially if it's a carrier. But if not, if it's an agent, there's, pretty unique things we can do, and I'd love to explore that with you. Brian asks, will your partnership offer expand in the near future? Yeah, that's something that we're doing all the time. We're looking at the current arrangements we have and seeing and validating that they're the right offers with the right partner, and that the partner that we have is embarking on like the service level agreement, that they're doing the right things and interacting with your clients in the most professional and accurate way. And we're looking at expanding those services. And so if you have any partnerships that you're interested in us exploring, again, send me an email, Eric, ERIC @spectora.com. Would love to explore that and potentially strike a deal that could be valuable to you.
One thing to keep in mind for everyone too is the the providers that are able to be big enough to share economics with us that we can share with you, it's because they provide services to lots of people. And so um, I don't know what the future looks like in terms of, the mom and pop's agent in your local neighborhood working with us, because at the end of the day, they have a business to run as well. And there's a chance there probably isn't a deal to be had there. And then not to mention integrating with, your local insurance agent would be a nightmare. So there's lots of reasons why it's not feasible to be able to integrate with everyone in the home services ecosystem. But the deals we get and what we're able to share with you guys gets better and better from the big players because they have good margins and they have a brand, that people know.
Let's see, we have a couple questions along the same topic around people that have opted into partnerships, but would love to see more data on what their clients are doing and interacting with. We don't have at the moment a dashboard or feedback loop that comes back to you. But again, that's data I can pull. It's something that I would love to get enough like thumbs up that this is needed, and I can prioritize that and get it on our roadmap with the product team. So send me an email. Again, I feel like this is going to be an answer for a lot of questions. Eric, ERIC @spectora.com. It's Oscar, you asked that. Then a couple anonymous folks did as well. And so then, yeah, Oscar, I can help with tracking and giving you a good perspective of where your clients are, what they're interested in at the moment. One thing I want to have you verify too is the way partnerships are operating today is there's like an enabled partnerships function within the settings. And then there's a services and fees option too. So make sure if you're not seeing much revenue coming your way, that partnerships are also enabled on the services and fees side. And we can talk through that if you send me an email, and I can log in and make sure everything's set up accordingly on your side.
And guys, the best feedback's always from your customer. And so like, what a great reason to call them and follow up after the inspection or before it. Like, just these are extra touch points that get you points down the road. And so don't be afraid to call and just do a little feedback session yourself and say, hey, did you click into the portal? Hey, did it make sense? What are you looking for? Is this of interest to you? That is going to be more valuable than almost anything.
Yeah. Uh, Mike has a question, just staying on that same topic with settings for the partnerships being enabled or disabled. Mike asks, can I pick and choose what programs are offered if I enable partnerships? Yeah, one of the great things is you can turn on partnerships and have certain partnerships be available for certain services. And so if you, as an example, want to have moving tied to all of your services, that can be the case. Or you want insurance tied to all services minus my 4-point and wind mitigations inspections in Florida, because those are often insurance inspections anyways. You can do that. A lot of creative ways for you to have your partnerships be made available for the kind of service and client you're really interacting with. And you can do it on a per report basis. Let's see. One last question. Oh no, same question around reports, showing up with these services and getting some data. So yeah, we'll sounds like there's some interest on that. For all of you interested in having more of a perspective of what your clients are engaging with, feel free to send me an email and we can talk about that.
Eric, there's one from Anonymous on Secure 24. I just wanted to address that one real quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so that one, let's see. I mean, I'm getting paid out, frankly. That's a great point. So I'm actually interacting with Secure 24 now to create more transparency. At the moment, it's often a Secure 24 connection to the inspection company. And so Spectora loses that transparency, and we lose the awareness on making sure and validating that you're getting what you should be getting. But there's actually 2 partnerships available today within Spectora via Secure 24. And so I know it's a little confusing. There's a system integration, and then there's partnerships. The one we talked about today is partnerships. That pays out $150 because it's a form your client submits, and then Secure 24 contacts the client with the details that was submitted in the form. The system integration one, which is often the one that a lot of other software providers has on their side, report data and contact data is automatically sent upon the publishing of a report, and it's more of an opt-out mechanism. So it's not that's not the core staple partnership we have available with Secure 24 today. Would love to get more thoughts on that from you if you want to talk about it, and we can make some tweaks and some suggestions on how we present that to you and your clients today.
And Eric, let's just make sure anyone that's opted into this, we send them language to pass along to clients on if they've signed up and they're like, I don't want this, like how to opt out. Because like that's the most important thing I think most inspectors care about is client clicks on link, didn't realize they, are going to get called a few times and don't want that. But we should be setting expectations and a lot, that's what we're thinking about for you guys. So let us know if you have concerns around that.
Yeah, we have a question around adding the option for these services to pop up in Spanish or other languages. Kevin would love your take on that. I know for some of our Canadian users, French has been a topic a language that's come up of interest.
Yeah, I don't know much about our capabilities or the demand for that, other than a lot of times if people are on a browser and speak a certain language, there's the automatic translation within Chrome and Safari. And so a lot of times, if your client does speak a different language, they will get that translated in the browser automatically.
Okay. We have a question from R. Clayton. How are various add-ons catered to the various states? I'm thinking of the whole fiasco of insurance in Florida where I am. Yeah, great question. Insurance in Florida is freaking tough. It's hard to get insurance there, and it's expensive if you can find it, if you don't want to go to the Citizens route. So the partner we have, they write insurance from, like I said, 40 plus different carriers. So the value of our insurance partner is they can price shop and get you quotes from a handful of options, not just Citizens or unfortunately, there are instances of carriers just dropping out, and then all of a sudden you're left with no option. And so, with the partnership we have a bunch of different considerations here for your clients to see and interact with, and so it creates a kind of a risk mitigating offering that our partner can write insurance pretty much anywhere with any level of accuracy. So Kevin, Mark, anything you want to add on that with Florida? It's kind of a tough state right now in a lot of ways, insurance wise.
I just want to underscore the point you made that the partner we work with works with 40 plus carriers. So your client's gonna get most likely the best deal, the best offering, no matter where they are in their budget. And so very different from, hey, here's one carrier we're pushing you towards because we make the most money. That's not the case. I think this carrier is agnostic and is out for the client getting the best kind of insurance.
We got a question from Brandon. What's up, Brandon? Thanks for joining today. Brandon asks, would the companies provide sales material, flyers, or leave behind letters? Yeah, so there is some of that available. That's a great point. We don't necessarily make it the most clear and downloadable for you, but I know that exists. So I'll work on getting that addressed. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm actually going to write that down because it's a fantastic idea.
Or I wonder if Brandon means like brochures for them to leave with the clients
Yeah.
after, while they're
No,
doing
that's what I mean too. Yeah,
Okay,
we
perfect.
have some of that
Cool.
stuff exists today. And
Carly, there you go. There's the demand we're looking for.
we just talked about that. Okay, let's see. So Patrick asks, I wanted to make sure our inspection reports we send out to clients don't show partnership logos or anything. Example, two guys in a truck on a logo on my report. Yeah, so simply put, none of this goes on your report itself. The report is the report you make. The offerings are made available within the client portal. So it's a special page and it's not baked into your specific inspection report. Yeah, I think another similar question on that one. Let's see. I think that's it. Kevin, you seeing any more that we didn't talk about?
Let's see, any data on how many clients use the partnerships after the inspection takes place? What percent of inspections might have clients take advantage of partnerships? How much does it cost an inspector to participate? So, yeah, I think you have some. It was in one of the slides. I think we we're looking at 3 to 5% conservatively in terms of clients that convert.
Yeah, but was there, I don't really see that question. Was there a question around how much it costs them to
Doesn't
participate?
cost
No, no,
doesn't
it's free.
yeah.
Yeah, this is just, it's a value added offering. So you opt in via your settings, and then these offers are made available to your clients. And if they engage and interact, and as an example, they use pods for a moving offering, or they get a quote via our insurance broker, or contact Secure 24 and buy a security package, like there's economic value that comes back to you. So yeah, it's a no cost, low effort offering. And yeah, would love to see you join that anonymous attendee. Okay. Oh, wait, one more. So whenever you guys can, could you please update us on the state of the industry as seen by Spectora, ideally by region? There's a report on that, Fred. Carly, let's make a note of how to get that to Fred. And it's a industry report that we had sent out not long ago, within the last few weeks for sure. And it does have a breakdown by region that we can that could be valuable to you. Okay. Mark, Kevin, any final thoughts?
I think that a couple of things popped out as I was listening to you guys describe how to utilize these services. And at the end of the day, I'm kind of an experimenter myself. And so if I was a home inspector thinking about ways to add revenue to my business that had potentially some impact without any drag or slowing me down or any really additional cost, I mean, this would fall into that category. And so at the end of the day, it seems like something that you could turn on, see what the return is, and then turn off if you don't want it anymore. But at the end of the day, I know that things like this work best when you give it purposeful effort as well.
Mhm.
So something like this working really well, like that 3 to 5% utilization rate going to something like a 5 to 10% utilization rate is going to require people to really get purposeful with first turning it on, understanding that it is a business building profit move, and then putting purposeful effort into it by telling their clients about it and making sure that they're talking about it and have good talk tracks, things like that. Those are the thoughts that popped up for me. Is just do it on purpose, experiment, see what comes out of it.
Yeah, I
That's
love
so good.
that. It could be one sentence. That's all it takes.
Mhm.
One short sentence.
Yeah, I find inspectors typically are not as forward or aggressive for the most part and say things with their chest to clients as they should and to agents. And it's like lean fully into this. And sometimes you have to pull your body forward before your mind believes it. But I think this is a year to really act with intention and motivation and make that better life and business for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Hope you can, oh, here's a QR code on the screen. Feel free to scan that and enable partnerships if you're interested. And let's start making some money.
Awesome. Whoop.
All right. Thanks, folks. Have a
Go.
great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.